voice. Oh,
Okay, so if everyone can mute aside from myself and Tamara, we'll get started. Hello, welcome. Thank you for coming. Um, again, I am recording this meeting just so people can, watch it after because I've had some requests. So yeah, Tamara, is there anything like you want to say? I was just going to go into actually talking about the trip and what the proposal was sent to us and what we will see on the trip and stuff like that. So I don't know if you want to talk about any logistics like about study abroad in general, if anyone's never been. Um,
Well, I guess I could add how you can take the course, like whether it be for credit or not for credit. So, a couple of things. One is you've got your course fee that covers all of the travel expenses outside of your meals. A few of the meals are included, but majority of the meals you would be getting on your own. And then, of course, spending money, but the course fee covers your flights and your hotel and transportation and any of the master classes we attend or any performances that we go and see or museums and things like that, or any of just the extracurricular things that we do as a group. So that would be your course fees. And then as for the course itself, you can take it for 0 credit, or you could take it for 2 credits and it can sub dance ensemble. If you need a dance ensemble course, you have that option. So those are the options of what you can do if you were to take it for credit. So I think that's just some general things that I would like to say. But I think once you go through everything, Shayna, I might have a couple other things that pop up. So maybe we can
totally.
start by going through that list.
For sure. Yeah. And also, what I was going to say, just in case there's other majors that are not dance majors that will be watching this meeting, we're going to try to see if we can work with the organization that's like organizing everything. And if there's like a dance class that's happening that seems unrelated, we're going to try to figure out some other like opportunities for them to go see a museum or something like that. Just we're going to see if that is a possibility. So, okay. Let me see if I can do this correctly. Okay, so I'm going to share. Um, Let me see if I do this, and then let me see if I do that. I'm going to allow that. We're going to present this. And do you see this full screen, everyone? You can give me a little thumbs up.
Yep, there it goes. Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So I wrote down some notes and I did some research. So basically, I don't know if everyone knows this, but this is our first half of the trip, and it will be in Brussels, which is in Belgium, a country next to France. And basically, just to give you some history of Brussels, this is all kind of like historic stuff that we're going to see, but I wanted you to understand the context of why this is important and relevant. So, really brief, and obviously, you will be doing your own research if we go on the trip, but it's Brussels started in the 7th century. So, both Paris and Brussels are this like ancient area, right? It's going thousands of years back in history, and just to visit a place like that is one reason why it's super important and relevant, and an exciting experience. This city in particular grew from a marshy settlement, so it was just like a little like port trade town, and it grew in power. It also had been dominated by both like the Spanish and the Austrians and the French at different times. Belgium itself, the country, did not gain independence until 1830. So even just thinking about that in a timeline over like over 2000 years, if we're talking about just like 2025, 1830 is only like 200 years ago. So that's like really recent for Belgium to become an independent country. Um, in our daily like experience of Brussels, the first day will arrive, obviously, and then usually it's like an overnight flight. So you try to sleep on the flight, and then they keep pushing you the whole first day so that you don't get jet lag, or you will have jet lag, but you just kind of keep going so your circadian rhythm kicks in. Um, they do an orientation walking tour in Ireland. It was really informational. We walked around the town that we were in. It was very cool. Some of the things that we're going to see on this walking tour, or any of the walking tours, That first building that you see up at the top, it's the Grand Place, and that's like a famous central square in Belgium. It's the place of like numerous historical events. They've had beheadings, they've had burnings. So it's really like this central area that has like a lot of dramatic history to it that I'm sure they're going to tell us about. Even in recent years, they do what's called the flower carpet. So every August, or it's like biennial, but it's like they cover it with like 500,000 begonias. So they put like a carpet of flowers down on it. It's surrounded by like opulent Baroque guild halls, which are like tax places. So it's just like the architecture, pretty much everywhere that you're going to see in Brussels is going to be amazing. But this in particular is like a main place in Brussels. And I will say, I have been to Belgium. I did a festival there. I presented choreography in Ghent, which is not Brussels, but it's different. But we loved it. I took two dancers. They're both British, and we just fell in love with Belgium. It's one of probably my favorite places in the world. So the culture is extremely friendly. They're extremely like open and progressive, and just it's like but rooted in this ancient history of Europe. Everywhere you go is like incredible to look at. Like we found like tiny doors and like just all these kinds of things that are just like walking around the city is just an experience in itself. The other thing that you're going to see is this like mannequin piece, I think it's called, and it's this little man peeing. So I just thought that was really funny because it's like a very famous statue, and you can see it's very tiny, and they will dress it up depending on like the thing. It was like designed in 1388. There's a couple of myths that like are behind it. So even just like as far as like a piece of artwork, how it's kind of become this like massive tourist like attraction. It's really funny. Okay, so then I'll go through this in the slides, but we're going to visit a couple of schools as well as like their professional training centers when we're in Brussels. One of them being Parts, and that is founded by Anne-Therese de Kersmacher. And if you've ever been in a modern class with me, you've probably watched either the BBC documentary or something that is related to Rosas Dance Rosas. So that is her and her choreography, and I'll talk about it later, but we're going to go there. We're going to go to UP, which is a circus and performing arts training facility. It trains professional circus performers, and that is, I'll talk about that in a second. We're going to visit, we're definitely going to get to see a performance of some sort. Again, like once this like kicks into gear, they will start to like fine tune and identify all the things we're going. And then we have a couple of free days. So this is also potentially on the walking tour, the Cathedral of St. Michael. It's like a Roman Catholic cathedral, the Royal Quarter. So just kind of giving you some ideas of what the architecture and feel and vibe of Belgium is. Parts, that's the school by Anne-Therese de Keersmacher. And I did write this quote down, which I thought was just really cool. And it's from her. And she's her perspective on what a school is. I'll just read it, but you can read it yourself. It's a school by its nature urges one to make choices, to continually reevaluate what is important from the past, in the present, and for the future. I haven't always found that easy, most often because I'm not so sure about what's finally important these days. And sometimes, even in comp or in modern, I'll talk about, I feel like we're in this weird moment in dance history where technology is kind of taking over. So we don't know what the end game is. And that's what she's talking about. She doesn't know exactly what's going to be important or relevant in the future, but she does rely on the past as far as part of this training and, dance training. Um, but the important thing is to learn to communicate about things we care about, right? Trying to know and accepting the things we don't. So that's just like kind of an inspirational quote from her and her philosophy. Um, it was founded in 1995, so it's only like 25, 30 years old. Um, and then basically it fills in the gap of professional training for dance. And personally, my personal experience, I wish I had known about it after I graduated my undergraduate, because instead of directly moving to New York City, I would have gone here. So that's just not that like anyone needs to do that, but I think it's just a great school to know that these resources are out there after you graduate and to experience it in this kind of setting. So the next thing would be the UP Training Center. And as you can see, they have a variety of apparatuses and all kinds of things that they do. When you say circus, we think like Barnum and Bailey, but that's not necessarily what it is. These are things like parkour. They do daily practice of professional artists. They do kids classes. It's a training center. And they do physical preparation. So it's a lot of strength training, flexibility training. It's technical work on apparatus, right? Anything from aerial work to ropes to trapeze. They probably have all kinds of things. They have mats. They have dance mats on the floor. They have 6 aerial grids. They have an air track. They have crash mats. That's when you like go flying through space and just like crash to the floor. They have tumbling blocks. There's parkour modules. There's springboards and trampolines. So it's pretty much like anything. It's like combining dance and gymnastics with parkour and like anything that would be like up high or circus related. Think Cirque du Soleil training. It's probably like huge with things like that. So we're going to go visit that facility. Then we go to Paris. Okay. So we travel to Paris. It's like, ooh, I don't know. Was it like a 4 hour train ride to Paris or like 8? I can't remember. Do you remember?
No, I feel like it was closer to the four.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
feel
it's like
like.
a 4 or 5 hour train ride. So we take the train across country. You can see like transferring to the border. Little history of Paris. If you are not familiar, it's like a massive, massive city in the world, one of the main world cities, I would say. It was founded by a Celtic tribe in 250 BC. So it is way over 2,000 years old, which is like crazy. It was conquered by the Romans at some point. It became capital of the Frankish kingdom in 508 AD. This is 508, and we're in 2025. That's how old it is. Paris is like a main epicenter for all like French culture, art, food, history. It's like been through a lot, right? So it's like this massive place. Our Paris trip will experience the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre. Okay, so I'll get into all both those things in a little bit. We're going to go to a Parisian dance school. A lot of what I was doing research on, the Parisian training is heavy in ballet. So ballet is like a massive thing that they do. However, there's also modern. There is a lot of, I mean, mime comes out of Paris, jazz comes out of Paris. So we just experienced the hip hop troupe from Paris and Ireland. So there's like a lot of different like influences that are all over the place, but a lot of the training is in concert dance. Ballet pretty much originated in both Russia and France, if you didn't know that. So that's like why ballet is everywhere. But we'll be experiencing a couple of different styles of dance classes, as you can see. We're going to go visit the Paris Opera House, which is used to be the House of the Paris Opera, which also associates with the Paris Opera Ballet, but now it's pretty dominantly just the Paris Opera Ballet. The Paris Opera has their own place. And we also do a pastry cooking class, which is super fun. So we're going to like experience some French cooking while we're there. Okay, so couple things on the walking tours that they talk about. Sometimes the walking tours are like the best things that you do just because you're really like absorbing culture and history and someone's telling you all about it. Um, where is my notes for Sorbonne? This was like kind of the Latin. Did I skip over? Oh, sorry. So the Eiffel Tower and Notre Dame is right there in front of you. Notre Dame's at the top. Yeah, it's like one of the most famous cathedrals in the world. It's directly linked to the history of France. So this like specific Catholic building, like kind of like revolved in a lot of historical things that were happening in France. It was built in the 12th century, which is the 1100s. Again, it's like over 1,000 years old. It was modified in the 18th century, which is the 1700s. And if you didn't know, there was like a massive fire in 2019, that was like what, 6 years ago. And it was so dramatic and like upsetting to the Parisian people. That night they were singing hymns in the streets, like out their windows. And it was like this massive, like cultural coming together, unifying like moment in time. So they've been slowly rebuilding it from that fire. And it reopened in 2024. Eiffel Tower, it's like more than 1,000 feet tall. Yeah. It was built in 1887 and it took 2 years to construct. So again, it's only like 125 years old. It was the built because it was the centerpiece for the 1889 World Fair that happened in Paris. So they built this massive structure just like they do with the Olympics and different things. This was built for the World Fair. And it also like kind of was this like representation of the French Revolution. Okay. If you've ever heard like Vive la France, yeah, it's like a huge thing. Um, it is the most visited monument with a fee in the world. So, of all the monuments that you have to pay to get into, that is the most visited one in the entire world. So, that's where it's like, it is like a massive thing. Yeah, it's a big deal, basically. All right. Then you might like move on to the Louvre, which is that like, it's actually kind of this underground plus like surrounding buildings as it's expanded. Used to be like this vault that kept like all of France's like most precious artworks and jewels and stuff like that. It's the most visited museum in the world. It is very cool. It's like built, it was built in the 12th and 13th centuries. It contains approximately 500,000 objects, which if you go in, I mean, it would take like weeks to get through all of it. So you can kind of pick and choose, but some of the most famous artwork with the Mona Lisa is housed in the Louvre. Um, if you're again unaware, there was a recent heist, which is crazy. It was in October, very dramatic. There were stolen jewels that happened in broad daylight, and I did find an article that like some they have arrested the four. I think there was like four or five main criminals, but the fact that anything was taken out of the Louvre is like if you've ever seen, the Pink Panther or anything like that, it's like that's like crazy talk that like anything with the security these days, the cameras, I mean, and they were successful. And what they stole was about like 88 million euros. So that's how what these jewels were worth. So I don't know what's happening nowadays, but I do know I think they've found like all of the criminals. Also on walking tours, the Latin Quarter, as you can see, it's kind of this like central university hub. And it is just very cool. It's a lot of cafes. There's a lot of jazz that's happening there, a lot of college students in that area. There's a couple of universities, one of them being Sorbonne University. So it's just like this, like Sorbonne University in itself was built in like 1257. There's libraries. It's like just like jazzy and nightclubby. So like we might walk around that area. It's like great food, cafes, all that kind of stuff. We'll visit, I don't know why that is blurry, but we'll visit the Paris Opera House, which as you can see, the grandeur of it all is like fantastic. I told you about the Opera Ballet. It's just like been a historic monument since 1923. It also is the setting used for Phantom of the Opera. So that building is like whenever they created Phantom of the Opera, that was the Paris Opera House that they're like thinking of when you're talking about these settings. And then the culinary experiences, just in general, you're going to eat like butter a lot, and it's fantastic. So if you don't like butter, I'm sure we can figure things out. The Dance Center of Marais is one of I don't know if this is the dance center that you would be going to, but for example, that's a photo of it. And they are heavily like ballet, conservatory, contemporary related, but they also have hip hop classes. So that's just, for example, like an example of what like a school that like if anyone went to Ireland, the building that we took Ryan's class in, it's probably similar to that, but bigger. So there's just a lot of dance studios and they offer all kinds of training. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's my little thing for the virtual meeting. I will stop sharing my screen and I don't know that I can answer specific questions to the content that we will be doing, but if anyone has questions, Tamara and I are here to answer anything logistic or like university related. I think we could help you out with. If anyone has any comments or questions, go ahead and unmute and we can chat. Yeah, Lexi.
So, will there be like scholarships, opportunities and stuff? Because I got an email about that before, so I was just curious if there'd be one for this one.
Typically, there are options for scholarship, but that would be something that Jessica could give you more details about because I do think it may change on which scholarships are available or how many scholarships there are, depending on the trip and the company that we're working with. So I think she would be the one I would ask that question to.
Lexi, did you apply for one last time? Or you weren't here? Yeah, but Bella, did you go? You went to Ireland, didn't you?
I did go, yeah.
Did you apply for a scholarship at that time or not?
I don't think so, because I
Okay.
think they were more, maybe I'm thinking of something different. but I think they were a little more specific as to like who can apply for them.
Okay. Yeah, but you can, I think it's usually an application process. Is that right, Tamara? Yeah.
Yes, it is. And that's why I'm saying I would definitely reach out to Jessica about that. Although she does usually share that when that information is
Mm.
available, but it doesn't hurt to reach out and ask. But again, I think it changes maybe from year to year. And also like sometimes the travel company has their own version of a scholarship, but I think we'd have to find out if that's something that the particular company we're working with also offers.
Bella, did you have a question?
Yeah, I feel like I asked Lexi this a lot, but how much is the price again if I'm taking it for 0 credits?
Well, you wouldn't pay any tuition if you're taking it for 0 credit. You would only pay the course fee. I don't have that in front of me. I don't know if you have that up, Shayna. I think it's like
I don't know if she told us like the
48 or
difference.
it was like 48 or 4,900, somewhere in that range, I feel like. I'm sure I can find that in my email. I just don't have that
Okay,
available.
thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, and the more people that go, it is fluctuating. So that's the other kind of thing about that.
Mhm.
Like the more people to go, the less expensive it is. Any other questions? Cool.
Dana.
Yeah.
So the coming the classes when we taking if we are going to Belgium plans, how many were the coming classes will it be?
I think it's scheduled for maybe 3 to 4 classes. It sounds like, if we visit parts, we'll probably take a class there in Belgium. And I think there's another slot for us to take a class in Belgium. And then I think there's at least 1 or 2 classes in Paris.
Okay. Also, are there ballet classes available there?
I don't know exactly, but I think it will probably range from ballet to a contemporary to a hip hop.
Mhm.
Paige just said 4880.
That sounds right. I thought it was about
That's what it
48.
says on the like little like pamphlet
Okay.
that was
Yeah.
passed out.
That
Thank you.
sounds that sounds right. I knew it was between, well, that is kind of between 48 and 49. That's right. I just didn't know that exact amount. Thank you so much, Paige.
Any other questions?
I don't know if you can answer this, but how many people do we have so far like signed up?
I think we have 5,
I think six,
Okay.
six though, right? Because there's one that
maybe
hasn't
6.
registered yet that I think has said they're going. So 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And so we do technically have to double that, I think, for this trip to fly.
Yeah.
So that's, one of the reasons we're trying to get, all the information out there so students realize what this opportunity is and can join us if they are able to. So yeah, if there's anyone that has even said they have an interest in it that, we can pass this video along to, that would be great. And even if you want to pass along some of the things that you learned today from Shayna's really fantastic presentation. Thank you, Shayna. That was really great. And just let them know what this exciting trip is and the kind of experience that they can have. We are opening it up to all students, even though it is more, let's say, dance focused. As Shayna said, we can work with the company to have their art students or theater students that might want to have a couple of additional experiences. Maybe when we're in a dance class, we can arrange for them to do something else. And if we have enough students go that we could have 2 faculty, then one faculty could take one group and the other faculty could take the other group. So that kind of just adds flexibility to the trip as well. So yeah. Yes, Isabella.
When do I like would I need to let you know by? Like if I'm going to officially, just because I need to talk to my family and everything, but
Yeah. I mean, so you're not one of the ones on our registration list at this point, is what you're saying, right? Or you are
Yeah, I'm not on the
you're not on the list.
registration
Okay,
list.
so that could potentially be seven. Yeah, I think from what I understand, they need to make the decision soon because I think what has to happen is even though we don't have maybe our detailed flight information, I think deposits need to go in for a flight so they can hold X number of seats on a particular flight or with a particular airline company until we can figure out which flight we're going on. So I didn't get an exact date. Did you, Shayna? I don't think
No, she
she
didn't
just
give me
said
one, but she said, yeah, like I think next week they're going to be discussing with Jess discusses with whoever else is in that department or something.
yes.
So they definitely need you to email Jess it like ASAP saying, I'm interested. I can let you know by this date, or she might say, I need to know. So I would say email Jess like today and say, after this info session, I am interested. I need to talk to my family. Can you like put me on the list, but I'm not confirming or whatever you need to tell her. And she'll,
Yeah, and also maybe get that date the date from her as well. And that's Jessica Lohr, Lohr. That's who you're emailing. The same thing with regarding the scholarship question, Jessica Lohr.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Brooklyn?
Question. Are we like leaving like the after finals is over?
Yes.
Okay. So what date is that? Is that like probably
I
May?
think
I
it's
think
May 18th, or it's definitely on the pamphlet again, I think. I don't know if Paige is looking at that, but it's yeah,
I
it's
think it's the 18th to the 28th are the travel dates. And so that would be a few days after we finish finals week, and it's usually like a couple days or a day after commencement because we have done that because sometimes students that are graduating want to go on the trip so that way they can graduate, they can be done with all of that, and then they are able to still go on the trip afterwards. So it's usually after everything is done for the semester. And usually the university will, I think we have to appeal to them on this, but I think that they will allow you to stay in your dorm room until we would leave.
Mhm.
Sometimes students have like had someone come and they packed up their room for the semester, send a majority of stuff with their whoever is moving them out, and then they just keep what they need for the trip, stay in their room until we leave, and do it that way. So you have to kind of coordinate a little bit of that since it is the end of the semester.
Cool. If there's no more questions, I would recommend everyone just maybe shooting an email to Jess if you're not on that list, or even if you are and you have more questions or we couldn't answer something, ask her. Um, Yeah, and we usually gather like at the school, or no, sorry, we gather at the airport. So we all figure
Yeah.
out like how to get ourselves to the airport and we go from there. And then you're shuttled back to the airport on arrival and we'll need a pickup or, transportation or something, but we'll have info meetings before that. All right, well, thanks. I'm going to stop recording everyone and